Hey guys, my name's Craig, and it's been my sort of intentions for quite a while to try and become part of this great community that you guys have here on YouTube called the Vinyl Community. And so this is my first video, and thanks for watching. Just tell you a little bit about my journey with vinyl. I have a relatively modest collection at this point. I was born in the mid-'60s, so I grew up with, obviously, with a lot of 45s. Excuse me, I used to have a 45 collection. My parents would buy me all kinds of 45s because I was a big music lover, used to listen to hit radio all the time, and so I had quite a bit of 45s and a little portable turntable, well, not even a turntable, a portable record player, the really bad ones that ruin your vinyl, but hey, that's all I had as a kid. And I used to sit and listen to my K-Tel records and all my 45s and just absolutely enjoy it without even realizing that at age 49 I would still be listening to the darn things. Now, I don't have the same vinyl that I used to have because it got damaged in a flood. I have an older brother and sister, and they had jobs as teenagers, so they were able to buy their records. I was a little bit young, so I usually just listened to their records, and that's where I got a lot of my musical influences. My brother listened to mostly classic rock, Led Zeppelin, Rush, Black Sabbath. He had some Bob Seger, Styx, stuff like that. My sister was more into the Beatles, Supertramp, Meatloaf. So between the two of them, I had access to a pretty decent, selection of popular records at the time. We didn't have a huge collection of records or anything like that. Maybe a couple of milk crates full. And, one of my favorite bands, Rush, we even had the red vinyl of Hemispheres. All of these records got completely wiped out in a flood. They were on the floor in the basement in crates, and we had a flood, and it was just, we lost a lot of stuff, including all those records. Well, this happened around 1988 or 86, 87, and so at that time it wasn't really a big deal because CDs were out. And for me, I couldn't wait to get a CD player. We had ended up with a not a bad setup. My brother bought a fairly decent belt drive turntable and, a nice vintage amplifier, but we didn't know how to set up, the cartridge, and there was no internet. I mean, you put it in the head shell, you made it look pretty, and you played your records. I didn't know any better than that. Neither did he. So now the turntable is probably still around, but I don't know where it is. It was his turntable. So when he moved out, somebody gave me a belt drive Hitachi turntable, which I continued to use and until the records got damaged. So through the years, I've carried that thing around with me. And basically sat around. It was always tucked away in a closet somewhere, and I was never interested in it, And then there was CDs, and then of course MP3s came along, and without having a good experience with vinyl back in the day, because we didn't know how to set up the turntable properly, I welcomed CDs because they sounded a lot better than my vinyl did. Because of my setup, it wasn't right. That just goes to show you how important the setting up of your turntable really is. Because we had a fairly decent Shure cartridge, and it was a Pioneer turntable, just wasn't set up. Anyway, so CDs were it for me, and I bought my first portable CD player, and we were off to the races with that. It wasn't until probably, I guess about 2009, when I was in a thrift store, and there was a little portable record player, just like one of the ones I had when I was a kid. And as the story goes, I thought, hey, I wouldn't mind having one of these again. This could be fun. So I went to the other side of the store and I picked up, they had a bunch of 45s. I grabbed a 45 and I went back to the turntable, to the record player, and this girl was looking at it. She was picking it up, and I had this 45 in my hand, and I said, "Oh, are you going to buy that?" And she said, "I don't know. I was thinking about it." I said, "Oh, okay. Well, I was just looking at it, and I went and got a 45. I was going to, try it, see how it works." And she said, "Oh, then you can have it. You've already, you went to get a 45. You've come back. You're already looking at it." She said, "So you can have it." And she said, "If you decide not to buy it, I'll just be over there. Just let me know." That was pretty cool, This middle-aged, 30-year-old woman was looking at this, vintage record player. Anyway, I ended up buying it, and along with that, a box of 45s I got for $10. And a lot of these 45s were, well, I have them down in my cupboard here. A lot of them were the same ones I had when I was a kid. Not the same exact ones, but you know what I mean, the same songs. So I brought these things home, and I plugged it in, and I'm sitting there playing records, playing 45s while I'm doing dishes, just having a jolly old time. Of course, the 45s were all chewed and scratchy and everything else, but I didn't care. That's what mine sounded like when I was a kid anyway. So then I dug out that old Hitachi turntable with the belt, the belt drive turntable, and it still worked. And although the belt was a little bit loose, and the torque was a little bit low, you could still play records on it. And I was using this phono cartridge here. This is a Audio-Technica AT91. It's 25 years old, and man, you know what? It's hardly been used. It still sounds really good for what it is. So I slapped it on, started playing these records, started getting more records, better quality records. Still didn't sound so good though. And I'm thinking, why? I wonder why it doesn't sound good. How come other people seem to think that records sound so good and I can't get it? So I went online and I looked up how to set up your turntable. So I, downloaded a protractor and proceeded to set it up properly, and wow, what a difference. And so I was like, this is it. I want to get back into vinyl. And I had no idea that there was a vinyl community, and maybe even there wasn't at that time. I don't know. 2009, was there a vinyl community? I don't know. On YouTube. But I learned how to set it up, and I started collecting records, and that's when I started getting them from thrift stores. I've got 3 record stores here in my town that have great selections of vinyl, both used and new. So that was me. I started collecting vinyl. And I'd like to show you some of the vinyl, but I'll do that in a separate video. I'll show you some of my favorites that I have. So then, recently, I realized, hey, there's a community out on YouTube that calls themselves the VC, the Vinyl Community. Now, I'm part of a community on YouTube already that I have been part of for quite many years, and it's a home brewing community. I have another channel called CraigTube, and that's my home brewing channel. And, I've developed a bit of a following on that channel, and we have a wonderful home brewing community on YouTube. So communities are great, and that's why I wanted to try and see if I could become part of this already established vinyl community. So I don't know a lot of you guys, but I will get to know yous. Now I have, as I said, a fairly modest array of records. My goal is not to try and collect every single record I can get my hands on. My goal is to try and replace everything that I lost back in the flood. So, I've got a lot of my Rush back. I got a lot of my Styx back. My Supertramp, my vintage copies of AC/DC Back in Black, and all that stuff. I'm rebuilding, and I think a lot of us are in probably the same boat. We all either got rid of our records or we lost them or something, and now we're trying to rebuild. It's quite a coincidence, actually, that I didn't realize that vinyl was coming back. I had no idea. In fact, I felt kind of stupid buying records again. I thought, what am I doing? I've already had all these. I've already owned them all. I've got all of them on CD. So what am I doing? Well, there's something about vinyl, and you know it as well as I do. And I knew it, and that's why I said, well, you know what? I'm a little crazy maybe, but I'm gonna start buying vinyl again. Well, then I realized, and I got goosebumps when I went out on YouTube and started looking and seeing how vinyl was coming back. And I thought, wow, man, what timing. That's perfect for me, because I'm really enjoying it. And I have a lot to say about vinyl, but I can't, I don't want to make this video too long. So I'll do more videos on here. So please subscribe to the channel. And I know there's something about it that's special about vinyl. And so here I am. I've got myself a half-decent turntable. I've got myself a Audio-Technica MLA 440 microline stylus phono cartridge, which sounds absolutely amazing. Collected some sort of vintage stereo equipment over the past couple of years. And a fairly okay pair of speakers and a good set of headphones. I'm really enjoying this. The turntable I have is an Audio-Technica AT LP120. It's a DJ turntable. It's sort of a copy of the Technics famous 1200 turntable. Obviously, it's not as good as that one, but it works very well for me. And I do a radio show every Friday night, most Friday nights, on vonlive.tv/CraigTube. And on that show, I do play vinyl. So I'm using the turntable as a DJ turntable with back queuing and everything. So that's what that one does. I am in the market for another turntable, a vintage one that I'm using strictly for personal listening. But, that's going to have to be off, a little bit in the future. So for now, this is what I've got. And it works great. It's a great sounding table. I've got it set up properly. And, works very well. So I'm happy to be here. And I'm going to continue to build my collection. I've got them all in alphabetical order. As you see the little tabs sticking out, I just cut them out of old record sleeves. And now, just like you, I'm pretty happy. And as I said, it's not my goal to have thousands of records. The ones I do have are in very good condition. They play very well. And I'm just glad that it's coming back. It's a great hobby. It sounds great. And I hope to become part of this great community on YouTube, the vinyl community. So I think I'm going to end it there. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll get to know some of you a little bit better. Please subscribe to the channel. Thumb the videos up if you like them. And, well, all I can say is keep them spinning, okay? Because vinyl is final. Cheers.